Flip to Freedom, episode number 39. Hello again, this is Sean Terry from the Flip to Freedom podcast, and we are on episode 39. Now, if you're brand new listening for the very first time, I am here to help you escape the 9 to 5 and live the lifestyle of your dreams by learning how you can make an absolute fortune flipping properties in your spare time. Even if you're brand new, you have no idea about real estate, you've never bought or sold a house before, you have no cash, no credit, I don't care the excuse, you can get started flipping properties in your spare time. And I can tell you we have a ton of new subscribers, people listening to this podcast, and I'd like to let you know I really appreciate all the feedback and all the comments and ratings and everything like that in iTunes. I greatly appreciate it. Now, if you're, like I said, if you're brand new listening and you have no idea and you don't even know what flipping properties is, it's basically very simple. It's where you find a motivated seller, and that motivated seller can come from probate, it could come from absentee investor, it could come from inheritance, it could come from code violation, it could come from vacant houses, whatever the case may be. That could be a motivated seller, and we contact and talk to that motivated seller through the methods that I teach, get that property under contract for, let's say, $50,000. Let's say the property's worth $100,000. We just sign a contract, a simple contract with the seller, and then we turn around and market that contract to a cash buyer for a higher price. Let's call it $60,000. And in turn, what we do is now we bring both contracts to a title company. We instruct them to do what's called a double escrow or a simultaneous close, or even a simple assignment would work. And what happens is the cash buyer will bring in the $60,000, of which $10,000 goes to you, and the balance goes to the seller. The $50,000 goes to the seller. So everyone's happy. This motivated seller's happy. They get $50,000 cash. They don't have to worry about showing the property. They don't have to worry about a listing agent. They don't have to worry about fixing anything up and appraisals and everything like that. They get their $50,000 and they're happy. You're happy. You make $10,000 in between, and the buyer is happy because they get a below market property, $100,000 property for $60,000. This is done all over the country. It's done all the time. And in this particular podcast, we are going to talk about case studies because, I've been working with people all across the entire country. There's been such a high demand after I launched this podcast, to work with people. And I opened up the Flip to Freedom Academy, which is a premier coaching program that basically hold people's hands and walk people through the entire process of exactly how to do this and go out and get their first check as fast as humanly possible. And I work with, like I said, people from Hawaii to New Jersey to Portland to Albuquerque to where else? Utah, all over the place. It's just been a blast. Now, I can tell you this, is that when working and talking to these people, it seems like the biggest thing that people need, the biggest thing is someone to lean on about a specific when a deal comes in. Because think about it. You're going to be marketing for motivated sellers. Calls are going to be coming in. But the question becomes, how do you strategically work with that particular lead that comes in to turn that lead into a deal? Is there a profit there? How do you analyze it to determine what the after repair value is? Could you structure it correctly if there's a loan in place? Can you negotiate it better with the motivated seller to get them to potentially take less cash? Is it a sellable property to a cash buyer? Those are all massive questions that people get that they're afraid of, because guess what? Anybody can build a cash buyer's list. It's very easy and simple to do. If you listen to my past and previous episodes, I explain in detail how to go out and do that. Actually, if you want to listen to episode number 22 through 26, I go through specifically in detail how to do this business. But cash buyers, you can get cash buyers easy. They're all over the place. Marketing for motivated sellers, that's easy if you just understand it's a numbers game, and the more marketing you put out there, you'll get motivated sellers to call you. So that's easy. Anybody can do that. The hard part becomes when the calls come in. What do you do with those calls? What do you say? How do you negotiate? How do you structure the deal correctly? How do you know you can sell it? How do you know you can negotiate for a price you can sell it? And I think, now that I'm really dealing with people all across the country and stuff, I think that is like the biggest thing. So what I'm going to do in this particular episode is talk about 3 different case studies. And I'm going to talk about the case studies for the purpose of, so you could, listening to this, get an idea of how to structure a deal, and and these are 3 different type of deals, and they came in from 3 different lead sources and different ways they were set up. But basically, the first one is a cash deal that came off a probate lead. I'm going to tell you how we got the lead, how the thing came in, how we structured it, how we negotiated, what we did. Pretty much tell you the exact everything about this deal, the numbers and everything. The next one was an agreement for sale that came in off internet marketing that we do. And the next one after that, the third one, was another internet marketing, but a different deal, the way we structured it because of the person actually selling it. So that's what we're going to talk about. Also, we're going to talk about excuses, right? And what excuses are holding you back from success. And I've got a great little clip I want you to listen to about excuses, because you know what? Excuses, are, a big roadblock, and if we can recognize the excuses that we have, and we can get past those excuses, then guess what? Success can be right around the corner. All right, so now, if you'd like to get my free 129-page comprehensive detailed blueprint on exactly how to quit your job in 19 weeks or less, you can go to flip2freedom.com. That's flip the number 2. Okay, so the number 2. It's funny because I get tons of searches, and I have Google Analytics set up, and so I see all the search terms that come in for people that are searching into Google, but I see they're putting flipping to freedom, and it's not flipping to freedom. It's flip the number 2 freedom.com, and if you type that into Google, I'm ranked like obviously number 1 in that spot. So if you can go there and you can get my book, you can download that for free, and I can tell you I've had people tell me that they spent well over $1,000 for the same information I give for free. Now, like I said, my goal of this podcast is give away a ton of free information. So listen, you have everything you need to go out and do what you want to do, to go out and crank out the business, to go out and make money, to go out and make, build a lifestyle, the freedom, the things that you want to do. And again, talking to people all across the country, people want to get out of the rat race. I mean, it was funny because I was in the Flip to Freedom Academy inside the membership area last night, and there was a gentleman who just got started with us a couple weeks ago, and he was telling me his horror story, because he's in Arkansas, of all the snow that was coming down and what he had to do for work. He was literally had to work, I think it was like 64 hours, and he worked in a utility building for the utilities and stuff, whatever, and he was out there, and he had to sleep on a blown-up air mattress. He had to, driving through snow. His truck broke down. It was just a mess. All this to go work for the man, making who knows, $50,000, $60,000 a year. Oh my gosh. And I think about it, and once you understand and learn this business, you can literally work anywhere in the world you want. You can work, part-time. You can do whatever you want to do, but there's a limited amount of cash you can make, especially once you build your system up correctly, and you understand how the marketing works, and understand, obviously, working with people, how to go out and build a network to have a ton of deals coming to you at all times. And it's a systematic business that you can set up to where you can generate, if you want to make $100,000 a year, this is here for you. You can do that. If you want to make $100,000 a month, then you can do that. It just depends on what type of marketing you do and what type of appetite your buyers have for properties. Now, could you do it in other states? Yeah. Could you flip properties virtually in other states? Absolutely. So that option is there too. So, in this episode, we are going to eliminate excuses. You can get my book. We are going to talk about different case studies, and we're going to completely kind of lift it up a little bit. So then you can have an understanding. When a lead comes in, you'll know, at least have an understanding of what to do with it. Maybe not the confidence to be able to go through it just yet, but learning this information and then going out and doing it will build your confidence for the next deal that comes along. All right, enough of that. Let's get into the first deal. Now, the first deal I want to talk about is a property in actually Scottsdale, Arizona, and it came from a probate lead from a gentleman by the name of Matt, who's a Tycoon member that I'm working with here actually locally. He went out and sent out yellow letters to a probate lead. Now, if you don't know what a probate is where a property is not in a trust, but when someone actually dies, they have to go through the legal probate process to liquidate the assets and pay off any debts within the estate. They're usually done, obviously, through an attorney, and some probates have property and some don't. This particular one did, and the property was inherited by a gentleman's mother, and they live in, I think it's South Dakota, if I remember correctly, South Dakota. So what happened was he contacted Matt, and then obviously I'm working with Matt, and then we went over and looked at the property, and it was in pretty rough condition. I can tell you that right now. It wasn't pretty. It was a great area of Scottsdale, but in a rough condition, rough area. I mean a rough. The property's inside. There's cats, urine all over the place. The place was a mess. So anyways, we walked through it. We talked to the seller, and they had, they actually paraded a bunch of other people through the property. A bunch of the guys, wholesalers, through the property. Now Phoenix is a pretty big market, and there's a lot of wholesalers in this market that do deals. So we went in there and talked to them and made friends with them. That's the number one goal. Built a rapport with them, talked to them about his situation, talked more about him and what his goals were, and went and looked through the property, explained obviously the market, which he heard before from probably 7 other guys, and then we happened to leave, and we told him we could give him a price of $105,000 for the property. Now we left, and I told Matt, I said, listen, man, we got to follow up with this guy and keep on it, because it's a potentially good deal. I think we can make some money on it. So what happened was is time passed. I think it was like almost a month and a half passed. And what we did is we left messages with the seller. And also I had Matt write several follow-up yellow letters to the gentleman saying, hey, it was a pleasure to meet you. I know we went at the house. I know we offered $105,000, but we definitely like to talk to you further and see how we could work out something. Now Matt sent several letters to the seller just as a follow-up. I tell you, follow-up, I know people hate to do follow-up, and it's something that's hard to do, but man, there is money in the follow-up. We'll get into the internet marketing side of it and how I have my follow-up system set up there, but there is money in the follow-up. If you, in your gut, you have a deal you think is a potential deal, then follow up with that deal until you nail it down, believe me, because you're going to want to, because that will turn into a potential profit down the road. Now, so Matt followed up with them, I think a month or so, or not even a month, about 3 weeks passed or so. He finally called up and said, hey, we thanks for following up, appreciate you getting the letters, and you guys are the only ones who followed up, ding, 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 and said, hey, I wondered if we could, talk about the price. My mother, the one who inherited the property, really wants, $130,000 for it. And I was like, oh, man, $130,000 is a little steep where we wanted to be. We wanted to sell it at $130,000. So I said, well, $130,000 doesn't work, but I could potentially do $120,000. And he goes, well, $120,000. So he called me back. He talked about it. And we basically agreed on $124,800. Now, the property is worth roughly about $220,000 to $230,000. Okay, worth all fixed up, completely renovated, mint. And the thing is, there's not a lot of sales in this particular neighborhood, so it's very kind of difficult to comp. So we actually found comparable sales back, a while back. But if I priced it the cheapest property in there ever, then I knew we could potentially sell it. So the cheapest one in there was like $179. The square footage was a little bigger. There is, properties, outside a mile that were like maybe $168. That people tried to use for comps. I was like, forget it, pal. I got buyers calling me up saying, there's comparable sales that are $168,000, and see, you can't mess with me with comps. I know neighborhoods inside and out. I know everything that's going on in the neighborhood, what's selling, what's active, what's for sale. So when someone calls me on a property and we're negotiating price and they try to use a comparable sales as an objection, forget about it. Because literally, I annihilated the guy. I was like, you're kidding me. I said, what about this property and this property and this property? They're all in the subdivision. And he goes, well, the assessed value is, and I was like, dude, assessed value? No one uses assessed value in Phoenix. I said, I'm using appraiser's comps, what an appraiser would use. Are you sure you know what you're doing? There's two ways to do it. One is you can let him be right, and then just stay firm on your price. Or two, you could just educate the guy and teach him, how to do comparable sales in this market. But anyways, off on a tangent. So the bottom line is this: we got the property under contract for $124,800. The comps were about $220, $230. They wanted $130 for it, but we negotiated them back down to that price with an extended close, with about a 40-day close, I think it was. So what we did was, is Matt went over there, we put the property on a lockbox. It's the first thing you want to do. If it's vacant, get it on a lockbox as fast as humanly possible, because you're going to be sending people, obviously, over there to look at it. Number two, right, is we got pictures, 35 to 40 pictures of the property, so we could post them on the site. Because what I found is we have our website, is when someone is looking at a property, if you provide comparable sales, if you provide a ton of pictures, the good, bad, and the ugly, if you provide a link to like a Google Maps, and if you provide a couple big pictures and a description on the property and all the details, the square footage, the bed and bath, how much fix-ups needed, what you believe the ARV is, all that information right there, if you provide all that information, then what will happen is that people will appreciate that, and they'll be able to make a decision quickly. So on my particular sites, I have everything. I have the pictures, I have comps, I have all the detailed description, I have Google Maps in there, I have everything integrated, and I have instructions on how to buy a property. I also have a download button. If you want to check it out, you can go to phoenixwholesalehomes.com, phoenixwholesalehomes.com. You can either Google that or check it out if you'd like. But you can kind of see, and if you want to mimic that site, go ahead. But the bottom line is that I have a download button right there, big blue download button. If you click on that, you'll be able to open up the contract, and it gives instructions on exactly how to purchase the property, and it has my contract in there for the buyers to fill out. So what happens is, what I do is, I market the property, I blast it out to my email list, and then I just get a contract in. Contract shows up, or they typically call or text for availability and ask if it's still available, and they'll go check it out. Next thing you know, I'll get a fax that comes across for the property for an offer on the property. Typically, it's at or close or is what I'm asking for it. We'll open up escrow. They'll deposit or wire their funds in. We'll take the property either off the market, or sometimes they just leave it, on, just because if people are searching, I don't like to have no properties on there that are not available, or not at least to kind of see what discount properties are when they hit the site. So now this property, we had it on there for $144. It was actually higher than I thought the price. First off, I thought we could do it for $154. Then I started looking, and they had that one property for $179 that was a little bit bigger. So I figured we had to be priced a little bit lower than that. So what we did was priced it at $144. And then got a buyer fairly quickly on it for $138. Had a couple other offers that came in after that, but hey, you know what? The guy got his money in, the guy got his contract in, and we did it. So the profit on that deal, right? Cash buyer, because it's going to go in and fix and flip it, $13,200 on that particular big deal. Now that's not bad. That came from marketing for a probate with a yellow letter. And that's not bad. Now, Matt and I will split that deal, so that will be actually his first check, so he's excited. And then we have another one actually in escrow right now we're working on a property in a different part of town, but that we're working on trying to get that one sold as well. So that is a probate lead that came off with a yellow letter. Now, if you don't know what yellow letter marketing is, Google yellow letter marketing or yellow letter example, and you can get an idea of what that is. Yellow letter is by far one of the highest response rate direct mail that you can use. It's personalized to the seller, and we get about 11 to 15% response rate using the yellow letter. It's something you definitely want to use if you want to start doing this business. All right, now deal number 2. All right, deal number 2 came from internet marketing. Okay, now this deal came in. Well, let's put it this way. The lead came in back in March of last year. Back in March of last year. Person hit the site, and at the time, because they owed $70,500 on the deal, and they wanted $10,000, this was before they actually listed it on the market. We offered an agreement for sale, and we offered them a couple $1,000s. I think it was $2,000 or $3,000, whatever it was, way back in March 2010. And what happened was she said no, it didn't work. Well, I have an autoresponder series in Aweber set up. So once a lead hits our site, they fill out the form, they automatically go into what's called a autoresponder series. And it's a 1 year's worth of autoresponders where every single first off, they get an email immediately, then they get an email 15 days later, then they get an email another 15 days later. So they get 3 emails in the first month. And then after that, they get an email every month after that. For a total of 1 year. They get 1 year's worth of autoresponders. Asking them, educating them on the market, educating them on why properties don't sell, and stuff like that. So, this continued. Now, I'm doing other stuff. I forgot about this lead. I can't even remember. I have it in my database somewhere, but, I'm not calling her up. So, my autoresponder is automatically following up with her. So, she calls up and says, hey, it's now January of 2011, and she says, hey, I've had my house on the market for forever. We actually are purchasing another house now, so we need to get out of this house. So is your offer still stand? I was like, okay, first off, who are you? What's your address? What are you talking about? So I started looking up, and I go, oh yeah, how's it going? I remember. We started talking, and I said, well, I've got to look at the house, of course, and let me see what I can do. So I brought my contract, of course, brought my letter of authorization, talked to her more about the loan information, and went over the house, checked it out. Now, the roof is in pretty bad condition because there's a huge hailstorm in Phoenix here. And I said, well, first off, the house, I can tell you, is worth roughly $85,000. She owed $70,500. So there's not a lot of equity there, right? She had an agent now involved that had to get paid. So he had to get paid $2,850, and then she wanted to get $5,000, and I was like, yeah, forget it, maybe $2,000. So that's $4,850 of total cash needed. But we agreed on an agreement for sale to where we're going to buy the property subject to on an agreement for sale, and do an exact wrap of the underlying note. Now, the underlying note is $70,500 at a 6% interest, 30-year amortization with payments of $566 a month. So, if you don't know what an agreement for sale is, an agreement for sale is basically where you can wrap the underlying note. The note can be serviced by the title company, meaning that they'll collect payments from the buyer and they'll send payments to the bank, right? And then everybody will get a statement every single month, which is good, and I like that. And the title does not transfer until the agreement is complete, meaning the underlying loan is paid off. Now, on a typical subject to transaction, sometimes there's the possibility. It's extremely, very rare that the bank will do a due on sale clause and request the payment in full on the note. Like I said, I don't think I've ever heard it happen ever before. But, an agreement for sale works because if there's a default on the buyer's side, depending on how much equity they have in the property and how much down payment they put, they could be literally out of the property within 45 days. If title transfers, then they would have to go through the foreclosure process depending on whatever state they're in. So I like the agreement for sale because it kind of protects the seller, and it also protects the buyer because they get a statement every month, and they know that they have to be obligated to make their payments or they could be out. So we structured an agreement for sale on this particular property and agreed to give them $2,000, $2,850 to the attorney, and total cash $4,850. So that's the most important part. When you're looking for an agreement for sale, when a deal comes in like this, you're looking to make sure they have a very good loan in place. A good loan, meaning if she had a 12% interest rate, that wouldn't work, right? Because the payments would be too high. On this particular one, the market rents for this particular area are, I would say, roughly $950 or so, $850, $950, and her payment's $566. So there's potential cash flow there for that property, and it's affordable for someone who is, potentially wants to live in the property. Okay, so. So what we did is when this particular deal came in, we gave the initial offer, kind of forgot about it. The autoresponder followed up with them. She called me back. We cut the deal, did the contract, opened up escrow, marketed the property, and got a buyer for $13,000 down. Okay, so we said, okay, listen, $13,000 down, you can buy the property, and it's literally they're buying it at market value or whatever the listing was for, which is fine. And they get payments of $566 a month, right? And out of the $13,000 down, $2,850 goes to the agent, $2,000 goes to her, and then the buyer's paying closing costs. So the balance left over is profit. And that balance, right, on that particular deal is $8,150. So that $8,150 goes to me for this particular deal. Now let's analyze it real quick. A lead came in. First off, it was essentially, a little bit of equity, maybe $15,000, maybe. I mean, there were comps in there in the 70s. You know what I mean? So maybe $10,000 to $15,000 of equity. She did have a good loan in place. She was motivated, but she wasn't motivated right then. She was motivated down the road, and she wanted a little cash. Great deal. Now, it would have been a better deal, obviously, if we didn't have the real estate agent involved. But hey, she had to go through that process and realize that, that obviously the property wouldn't sell, and now her motivation level was increased to have her accept the agreement for sale. Now, we negotiated a 5-year term, meaning that underlying note has to be paid off within that 5-year term. So the buyer has to pay that off within those 5 years, and then the title would transfer, and they'll take title to the property. Okay, so that's an agreement for sale on a deal that came in. Now, next one that comes in, we have another internet marketing lead. Now, this particular deal, internet marketing, came from actually a call-in from someone who hit the website. Okay, so on my squeeze page, if you go to Sell House Fast for Cash, on my particular squeeze page right there, I have my phone number front and center. Okay, now my phone number is front and center right there, so someone can pick up the phone and make a call. Now I have it go to a voicemail. I don't have it ring, to my phone, and then I'll have either someone pick up the call and call the sellers back, or I'll call them back myself, depending on what's going on. But in this particular situation, guy left a voicemail, said, "Hey, I got this property. Would you be interested?" I happened to pick up the voicemail, called them back, and said, "Hey, what do you got?" We started talking about it. Now, I can tell you another key benefit of marketing on Google AdWords, is that when other wholesalers will want to sell a house, they're going to search cash buyers Phoenix, or cash buyers in your city, or we buy houses Phoenix. And what's going to happen is they're going to start looking for buyers for their wholesale deal. That's the first place they'll look for buyers. And guess who pops up? I do. You know how many deals I've got from other wholesalers that have deals tied up that go and search online and they find who's cash investors or cash buyers Phoenix, and guess who pops up? I pop up everywhere. So when they do that, now just a caveat: if you type cash buyers from your computer in your city, I won't pop up. And I only bid on people's IP addresses within the Maricopa County region of where I am in here in Phoenix. I only bid. So if you have an IP address on your computer, an IP address is like the address of the computer. If your IP address is within Phoenix, then my ads will pop up. If you're in Alaska or if you're in Hawaii, my ads won't pop up because I don't want to have you in Hawaii clicking on my ad in Phoenix, which is going to cost me money. So I have it done inside, or the settings set up correctly inside of Google AdWords, so I only pop up for IP addresses within Maricopa County. Okay, just a FYI. So if you're searching in a different city and you don't see it, you're wondering why. That's the reason why. All right. So the guy calls in because he's another wholesaler trying to sell a property. I get the lead. I go and look at the house. Get over there as fast as possible. Look at the house. Check it out. Now he's parading other wholesalers, other wholesale buyers. So actually, there was a guy that was leaving, with a big thing on a sign saying on the side of his car, side of his truck, there saying "We buy houses." And on my Range Rover, I don't have a big old sign that says that, because you can do that if you want. I just have never done it. Anyways. So I think it'd be tacky on a Range Rover, don't you think? All right. So, anyways, so this guy's pulling out. I'm walking in. I went in. First thing I do, I made friends with the guy. I talked about what he's doing, how did he find the house, what the situation is, how long he's been doing it, if he needs any help, all this type of stuff. I'm building friends with the guy, building rapport. I'm telling you, that is a key component. Don't bulldoze someone and get right to the point. Build friends with them. If you build friends with them, guess what? You can, you'll always win the deal. It just, if for some reason, I don't get it. But anyway, so I built friends with the guy, talked to him, walked around the house, and I said, listen, bud, honestly, I said, I know these comps pretty well in this area, pulled all the numbers. You're going to have to be around 55 for me to make the numbers work. I can stick it out at 58 or so, or higher, and see if I can make the numbers work. I got a fairly large buyer's list, and we can move it. And he's like, well, okay, let me see what I can do. So he went back and renegotiated with the seller, got him down to the 55, gave me the contract for 55, and then I turned around, stuck it out in the market for 63, and sold it. Good deal, right? $63,000, $8,000 profit on this deal because another wholesaler, and this was an easy one. I was in and out of this property in 7 days. The guy called on a Friday. I looked at it on a Friday afternoon. I had it in a contract over the weekend because he had to renegotiate. I had it on the site on Monday, and I had it closed by Friday. That was a 7-day, $8,000 deal because of that one thing. How many times that has happened to where people search for, they want to get rid of property. Either other wholesalers are trying to flip stuff and they happen to call me up. Now, guess what? I built a relationship with the guy. This guy was excited. He made 13 grand on the deal. I made 8 on the deal. This was his first deal, right? He didn't know me from a hole in the wall. Performed. He's like, man, this guy is awesome. Loved it. So guess what? Now he's calling me. Called me today and said, hey, I got a deal. Can you help me sell it? I said, okay, give me the info, give me the numbers, let's rock and roll. So I built a relationship with him, built friends with him, performed, made him money. He's excited. Okay, great deal. So sent him to the site at Flip to Freedom. Hey, I said, hey, there's a ton of free information in there. Here's my whole business. Hey, if you want to work together, I've got a big buyers list. We can do deals together. We all can make money. He's like, oh, great, thanks. So like I said, so if you give back and help people and you really care and you want to build a relationship with them, I'm telling you, it will come to you tenfold. So this particular deal, it was worth probably about $115 to $120. Like I said, he was in higher number, so I asked him to renegotiate. He did. I got the property under contract for 55 and turned around and sold it for 63, made an $8,000 profit, and he made 13 on his numbers, whatever his numbers was on it, and he was happy. He was ecstatic. So that is an internet marketing deal that came off on that particular, off a phone call off our internet marketing. All right, that is it for the 3 case studies. If you like this, let me know, because I can do more case studies and I can talk about deals that are happening. And like I said earlier, working with people all across the country, it seems like their biggest thing is, okay, when a lead comes in, what do I do? So if I can do these case studies for you, so you can get a good grasp of what to do, when leads come in, and how to structure, and what I say, and what to do, and and how to put the thing together, it will give you more ammunition in your toolbox, or more tools in your toolbox, more ammunition in your gun to go out there and get the deal done. So that is, that's my goal. So definitely leave me some feedback if you want of what other information, or if you like these case studies, and I can definitely do them more for you. Now, let's talk about excuses, okay? Because everybody, now, another thing, talking to all these people across the country, you would not believe the excuses that I hear from people. Oh my gosh. But the bottom line is this, is that, and obviously I'm nice, I try to be nice, but I'm firm, because the bottom line is that, I had a coach, in high school, and he was a football coach, and if I had excuses and stuff, he would set me straight. He would call me on my crap, and he'd be, and I'd be like, okay, he'd give me a little what's called tough love. And that's what I do with some of these guys. I give them tough love, and because guess what? In this business, you gotta have thick skin, like a rhino. A rhino has, I don't know how many inches of skin, but you could shoot an arrow at them, and it will go in their skin, and they won't even feel it, because their skin is so bloody thick. So think of yourself like a rhino. You gotta have thick skin in this business. And the thing is that people are so new and they're so frail, and they're going, oh, I took 25 calls and I don't know, and da-da. Or they have excuses about, oh, I don't have time because of my job. Or I don't have the money for marketing, which, is a valid excuse, but you know what? You can write letters yourself. You can go look at vacant houses. You can do search. There's tons of stuff you can do. So guess what? If you had to do it, you'd do it. Now, I want you to listen to this. This gentleman's name is Matt Scott. And I want you to listen to his real quick interview. And he was actually picked in a Nike commercial that I love, and it's called No Excuses. But listen to his story real quick, and then listen to the quick Nike interview here right now.
As one of the top athletes in his sport, Matt Scott knows all about hard work.
I have standards for myself that I won't let fall. Oh, there it is. I went on the court and never came off. I love the game. It's so much fun. I love wheelchair basketball.
Matt was born with spina bifida and has little to no strength in his legs.
I wasn't able to walk, but I adapted, My mother was very motivating, and she never let me make any excuses for anything.
Not even during his toughest times, when infections forced doctors to amputate his feet.
When the doctor told me that the infection got all the way down to the bone, and that I was going to have to get amputated, that was tough to hear. It's just like, this is my foot, man. You can't take my foot away. You know what I mean? Like, that's, you don't have a pill or like some like medicine or something. Like, you're a doctor. Do something.
But there was nothing to be done.
So cold.
As you can see, it doesn't really hold him back. He just kept living by the standard his mother set.
There's no difference between you and anybody else. If you want something, then go get it. Don't make, cheap excuses.
Fitting then that Nike would pick Matt to star in a campaign titled No Excuses.
I'm too weak, too slow, too big. I ate too much for breakfast. Got a headache. It's raining. My dog is sick. I can't right now. I'm not inspired. Makes me smell bad. I'm allergic to stuff. I'm fat. I'm thin. It's too hot. I'm not right. I've got shin splints, headache. I'm distracted. I'm exerting myself too much. I'd love to really, but I can't. I just can't. My favorite show is on. I got a case of the Mondays, the Tuesdays, the Wednesdays. I don't want to do this. I'm gonna do something else. After New Year's, next week, might make a mistake. I got homework. I feel bloated. I have gas. I got a hot date. My coach hates me. Mom won't let me. I bruise easily. It's too dark. It's too cold. My blister hurts. This is dangerous. Sorry, I don't have a bike. I didn't get enough sleep. My tummy hurts. It's not in my jeans. I don't want to look all tired out. I need a better coach. I don't like getting tackled. I have a stomach ache. I'm not the athletic type. I want to get sweaty. I have better things to do. I don't want to slow you down. I have to do this. As soon as I get a promotion, I think I'll sit this one out. And my feet hurt.
Okay, so my question to you is this. What is your excuse? What is your excuse? This guy has no feet. No feet. And he is living his life. He is playing basketball, and he didn't let that stop him. Now, I don't know what your situation is listening to this right now, and, maybe you're worse off than he is, or maybe you're not. I don't know. But the bottom line is most people, guess what? You got two eyes. You maybe got two legs. You got two arms. You got two ears. Listening to this, what's your excuse? And people look at it and go, well, I don't have time to do my real estate business. I don't have, enough money to go do leads. I don't have, I don't have a transportation to go to the houses. I don't have, the confidence to go look, to go talk to these people. I'm new. I don't really know what I'm doing. Guys, those are excuses. And let me put it this way. Who is the one person that you care about and love more than anything in this world? Think of that person. Visualize it. Picture him in your head. Who's the one person that you would love or care about more than anything in this world? Now, I want you to picture where someone terrible has a gun to their head and they're saying, you've got 1 week to go get a deal under contract right now. Go. What would you do? What would you do? Really? Would you go, well, I'm sorry, I don't have time. I've got to go to work. Oh, I don't have, sorry, dear, honey, children, daughter, son, dog, I don't care, whatever it is. They got a gun to their head. And the guy's going, listen, you got a week to get one deal under contract or I'm pulling the trigger. Now, I apologize for the graphic scene, but I want to prove a point. And the point is this, is that if you had to, you would do it, wouldn't you? If you had to, you would do anything you would have to do to get a deal under contract and bring that contract back to that scumbag who has the gun up against your loved one's head. And you would say, I did it. And there would not be one excuse that would hold you back if you're the person I think you are. There would not be one excuse. You know what? Because you're inside, man, I'm telling you, your blood would start boiling. You wouldn't sleep. I don't care if you're tired. I don't care if you have legs or no legs. I don't care if you have car or no car. I don't care if you have means or no means. You would find a way to go out there and talk to whoever you had to talk to, whenever you had to talk to them to get that deal under contract, and you would have a contract by the end of the 7 days, if not sooner. I know it. That's motivation. The motivation is this, is when you have to do it, you do it. So what's it going to take for you to get that have to? Is it going to take, see, my wife always says, you know, when the straw breaks the camel's back, you never know when that is going to happen, right? It might be your boss just drives you nuts. Something happens, you know, at work, or you're just completely had it, and you got to just do it. But let me put something in a little bit more perspective for you. The road that you are on right now, I want you to follow that road a year down the path, you know, a year down the road, 3 years down the road, 5 years down the road, whatever. And if you are on the road where you want to be and have the freedom to wake up and do whatever you want to do with whoever you want to do it. If you want to play golf today, let's play golf. If you want to go to the beach today, let's go to the beach. If you want to go to Hawaii right now, let's get on a plane and go. Money's not an object. Time's not an object. Let's go. Just arrange a couple things, you know, with, you know, doing deals or whatever. And hey, if you got a good team behind you, you can go. Go ahead. But if you are on the path where you want to go, then continue going that way. But I bet you are not on the path that where you want to go. So you got to go, hey, you know what? I've got to stop spending the time and energy and commitment. Yes, you have obligations. You've got things to do. You have to, you know, do your job, and you have to, you know, do that. But don't continue making excuses for a path that you're on that's bringing you not where you want to go. Instead, find a way to find the time. Find the way to find the resources. Find a way to find a way to go on that next path, the other path. You're at a fork in the road right now. It's time to make a decision. Where do you want to go? 5 years from now, you're going to be somewhere. And the decision you make today is going to determine where you are 5 years from now. So it's decision time. Where do you want to be? Until next week, I wish you ultimate success in your real estate investing career. If you'd like more, go to flip2freedom.com, flip2freedom.com, and download my free 129-page comprehensive blueprint. And maybe that will help you make your decision. Because listen, guys, it's not rocket science. Anybody can build a buyer's list. Anybody can find motivated sellers. In this market, are you kidding me? You kidding me? It's not rocket science. You can do this. Believe me, if I can do this, I don't have a college education. I used to be a Marine. I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, top pursuit. Not at all. At all. I know you can do this. So when your have to reaches that point, when you're like, you know what? I'm sick of listening to this podcast and not doing anything. I'm sick of driving to work and commuting every single day and listening to this guy tell me how he can do it and how other people are doing it and da-da-da. And you get mad enough and you find the have to and now, and guess what? You're going to go out and do it. You know what? I'm going to be sitting there and I'm going to be praising you on when you get your first deal. Send me your video. I want your video. And tell me your story. Because it's worth it. Whether it be real estate or whether it be whatever other venture you want to do, find a way. Decision time. You're at the fork in the road. Which way you want to go. 5 years from now is a result from the decision you make today. So the question I ask you is, where do you want to be 5 years from now? If the path you're on is going to get you there, stay to it and work hard. If it's not, then make a decision to go the other way. Take care, and God bless.